Right, welcome guys. Preview review. So, we're back. We did a review on last week for the game coming up, Millwall Boro. But now we're back in full effect with previews and reviews. So, let's start with Millwall Boro, and then we'll have a little chat about Sheffield United and what I expect Sheffield United to do, and what I expect Boro to do maybe against them. So, as you all know by now, 2-2. Without getting in depth and talking about the game, I think we'd all agree that if I said 2-2 before the game, which we often give predictions, don't we, Rob?
We do.
Are you, Rob, by the way? Sorry.
Yeah, mate.
I'm good, I'm not bad, I'm all right. I'm slightly negatively optimistic, but I don't know if that makes sense. So, confused as well. But, so, as we were saying, yeah, Millwall Boro. So, like I said, we would have took a 2-2 before that, quite happily. But the one negative about that sort of result for me is the fact that we've been conceding leads, we've been giving up leads, we've been coming back from sort of leads in pre-season, and we've kind of grinded out bad habits, which we kind of took into Saturday's game. Now, as I've just said, a 2-2 at Millwall, especially coming from behind, is a good result. But when it came down to the last 10 minutes, when we threw the kitchen sink at it, and really it was just bombarding them to score 2 goals, that worries me. We didn't create anything for 70-odd minutes. The 3 subs that came on made the difference, and I'll slightly get back to that in a second. But overall, the points are positive, but the way in which we went about the way in which we got the point was poor. I think another team there we wouldn't have got out of jail with. We were lucky not to go 3-0 down before we scored our goal. So, like I said in pre-season, and like I've just said, are these habits things that we can get rid of before tomorrow's game, for example, or are these going to be things that are going to be around us all season? We've got 3 defensive-minded people in charge of the club, and yet we still struggle in defence. We still struggle off set pieces. So, the game, as you've all seen it by now, changed when the 3 subs came on. We had more energy, we had more drive, we were a lot more direct, we were a lot more concise, and we kind of played with no fear, which is what we had all the way through the game. First half was non-existent. Wing came on around about 55 minutes, changed it slightly, was trying to beat people, great crossing the ball as we said all pre-season. But then it took us till the last 10 minutes to score goals, and as I said, it was a long throw. There was also a little bit of a mix-up out wide. Taz managed to kind of deflect the ball into the box, and we've scored. But we didn't do anything before that, and as I've just said, we ain't going to start the game the way we finished it. So therefore, that tells me that we haven't got any creativity. Not that we already knew that, but we haven't got any creativity, because if it's taken us to play with 5 up front and 3 at the back, we're never going to start the game like that. So then what are our options before we have to go to sort of nuclear press the button? Now, everyone will say that Tony Pulis' tactics is a little bit like that, very direct, get the ball in the box, but not when it takes you 80 minutes to do it. So, as much of a positive as the result was, it's also a bit of a negative. I don't know how you guys feel about that. We want you to get in touch. It's all about you lot. Tell us what you think. We're trying to be as positive as we can. The other thing with that is obviously the team sheet. As you'll have all thought when you saw that team, this isn't a team that's going to sort of get us anywhere today. And as it proved, it wasn't really, was it? The lads that came on, Tav, Wing and Chapman, who we've raved about all pre-season, did the business. Wing is a player that needs to start for me. Obviously, we've discussed on other shows about how probably didn't want to start those 3 because it was kind of throwing them into the inferno. But I think there's a level where you go, I need to test how good these players are. Obviously, his hands were tied. No McNair, no Ayala, who hasn't kicked the ball in anger all pre-season. And obviously no Traore. Gibson's gone. So, with Pulis' hands tied, we've kind of talked about that on the Monday night show. But so did he pick a team that he kind of thought will do a job and get out of there? I don't know. I think he should have started, like I say, with the kids and gone, you know what, I'm not happy with this team. I saw what they did last season. If we get beat at Millwall, which it looked like for a long time we were going to, then fine, at least we've tried something different with the sort of players that we've got. But he waited till the last kind of minute to do that. So where does that leave the kids, for example? Are they, is Tav, is Fletcher, is Chapman, are Wing going to start tomorrow night? I very much doubt it. So what does that say? He's used players that have come on who he's not really got faith in. He's come out after the game and also said he's not happy with the squad. If I was one of those players sat in the changing room, regardless of how good I think that squad is, I'd be a little bit unhappy. We're not buying 22 players this week, are we? So he's got to still work with that team. And the other thing for me is he's not Jose Mourinho. I don't think he comes out and plays mind games with his team. I don't think that's his style. I think he defends his team and kind of keeps things close quarters. So that's also a worry. The game itself, like I say, you've all seen it by now. It was a horrendous first half. It was a bearable first 20 minutes of the second half, and then we kind of got it together, as we've just mentioned. But it's worrying. Millwall, as I said in the preview show, they really haven't brought many people in this season. They're a little bit worse of a team than they were last year. For Millwall fans must be kicking themselves because realistically, that's definitely 2 points drop for them. Now, obviously, if we get promoted at the end of the season, nobody's going to care about how we played against Millwall because it's a point earned, and it is a notoriously hard place to go to. But also, I think we missed a trick there. I think that could have been a game we could have got more out of if we'd have set up differently, even with the squad of players that we played. So, guys, Sheffield United. So, as we were saying, difficult game last year twice. Same manager, pretty much similar sort of squad. They haven't really lost anybody. They've made some good additions. Woodburn, who's a talented player, on loan from Liverpool, left winger. Henderson, who's a highly rated keeper. And obviously, they've got a journeyman there in McGoldrick on a free. Would he have been someone that could have come to Boro? Would he have improved the Boro? I don't know. In the current situation that we're in now, I would take anyone with a pulse. So, what do we expect from them tomorrow night? Pretty much tight game, 3-5-2. What I've noticed with Sheffield United quite a lot is that they like to push on. The full-backs really don't half get into the opposition's third. Baldock on one side and Ender on the other side. And they really don't half push up. And what I noticed on Saturday against Swansea especially is there's a lot of area behind them to exploit. Now, they are sort of things that with the Traore in the team, we would have loved that bit of space behind. I don't know how it might work tomorrow night with the team that he might set up, especially if it's anything like the team that started against Millwall. There's no pace in that team. There's plenty of pacemakers, but there's no pace in that midfield, really. So, can we exploit them? I don't know. I think they'll come, they'll make it hard, they'll make it tight. They do every season with us. Yes, they got beat against Swansea on Saturday, but I don't really know if that's maybe the start of whether their expectations are a little bit higher and maybe they've gone into the game thinking that they're going to start the way they did last year. Also, the fans, a little bit like with Millwall on Saturday, there's a lot of expectancy from that team. So the bubble's been burst a bit, that kind of little bit of optimism. It's hard to kind of recreate that energy when you know that people are expecting a result against the better teams. I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be tough. I really rate Chris Wilder. The one thing also that I've noticed about them is that the midfield three, Fleck, Lundstram and Evans. Lundstram's kind of your holding midfielder, but he does like to get forward. They're very neat around the box to get runners in, to get people forward, which is something as a Boro team we don't seem to have much of, is people making deep runs and being on the edge of the area for those balls to get cut back. Saturday, kind of a little bit when Tav and Wing came on, there was a little bit more of that, people getting to the bar line slightly, but it's something that Sheffield United really do sort of work hard at. It's something that's part of their kind of their makeup. They did it a lot last season. Like I say, Baldock hasn't always been a defensive, hasn't always been a fullback. He's played midfield quite a lot, but they will push up high. They might exploit it, as I've just said, a little bit more because they know we haven't got the pace to get in behind. And also, we like to sit deep a lot and bring teams onto us, which works fine when you've got rocket boots in your team, but we won't have him in our team tomorrow night. So, all that being said, for me, we're going to look to kind of, I would say, break them down through the middle because Evans and Fleck like to get forward. On Saturday, they're very sort of neat around the box. The goal that they scored was very neat passing, very sort of quick one-touch football, very compact. So is that something we can exploit? For me, I think we've got more chance of scoring through the middle than we have out wide. But again, it might come down to set pieces. I think it'll be a very tight game. I think there'll be 1 or 2 goals in it. Probably 1-1, maybe 1-0. I'm not really wanting to put myself on the fence and say that we're going to get beat, although I have mentioned earlier in another show that I think we probably won't get anything out of the game. But that's just being sort of like erring on the negative side. Also, for me, what I've noticed with Sheffield United is that the midfield too, as I've said there, do like to get forward, and there's always a lot of space between the 2 or the 3 centre-backs as they have it when they play 3-5-2 and the midfield. So again, if we can get people floating in between that area, if Howson plays in an attacking midfield role, it'd be nice to see sort of him floating around in between the 2 centre midfielders and in front of the centre-backs. That's the only probable way for me that we're going to find a way through this team. Yes, they're not the Sheffield United, I don't think, of last season, and yes, they've started the league campaign with a defeat, whereas last year they never. But they came to Boro and got beaten. It didn't sort of hold them back. They still went on a really good run. McCabe hasn't really backed that team again this season. Speaking to a lot of Sheffield United fans last year and looking on the forums, that was one thing they were really wanting this year, was McCabe to back them and go out and bust the bank and build on what a great season they had last year. They've got a brilliant manager in Wilder, really rated really highly, very rated highly in football. English manager, up-and-coming manager. Is he somebody that can go on to pastures new and manage a bigger club? Well, Well, the one thing that we've seen last season, Boro fans, with Gary Monk is, although he looked half decent, as soon as you gave him money to spend, he kind of capitulated. And I don't know whether that might be the same story with Wilder. Again, that's not something that we've seen because he hasn't had the money to spend. But as a guy who wants to work with a squad and improve his players, he's certainly done that. So, prediction, like I say. Well, what do you think, Rob? Because I'm still between 1-0 and 1-1, and that's the Sheffield United, both results. So,
I think 1-0. Sheffield United, mate.
1-0 Sheffield United. Now, to be fair, Rob last season, he got a lot of predictions right, but he's already got the Millwall one wrong, which is, he'd be happy to say he was glad about.
Still a draw. I said 0-0, didn't I?
He did. I kind of might have said 1-0 as well, like, but...
No, you said 1-0.
I said 1-1.
I said 0-0.
Fair enough. So we've got that wrong, but obviously we've got the result right. Sheffield United, I'm going to go 1-1, and like I say, I've been really optimistic saying that, though. I kind of do think it's going to be a really tough game if that team starts. And obviously, as we know, Boro fans, there's not exactly... the players aren't queuing up to join us, Anna, so I can't see there being a massive change for tomorrow in personnel. I'd like to think he may start Wing and Chapman. Tav, I don't know, he's maybe not as fit as he needs to be. He hasn't played all pre-season with England. He's come off the bench a lot. So, but Wing and Chapman, I'd like to think that they've earned a chance to start. So, I'm going to say 1-1 Boro. But listen, guys, it's all about you. Please get in touch. Whenever the shows are, whoever it is, we need your comments. We need your conversations. Without you guys, we're nothing. So, get behind the team tomorrow, no matter what you feel. Let's not be negative throughout the 90 minutes, guys. Let's just give them everything we've got. And if we're still unhappy at the end of it, that's when you show your feelings, when the whistle's blown, 95th minute. So, like I say, this has been a preview show. I've been Foxy. That's been Roberto. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace out. It's in the blood. Whoever you are, wherever you are. Up the Boro.